Prime Minister Dr. the Honourable Timothy Harris addressed the 33rd Annual Private Sector Banquet of the St. Kitts Nevis Chamber of Industry and Commerce on Saturday, July 16th in the ballroom of the St. Kitts Marriott Resort. Dr. Harris told the packed room that it must be acknowledged that the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis is doing very well, and this is evidenced by the fact that it is now the #1 performer in the Caribbean. So says the United Nations Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, UNECLAC, so says the Caribbean Development Bank, and so says the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank.
And that is something about which all of us ought to be pleased, whatever area of engagement we are involved in St. Kitts and Nevis, because it represents the success of the collective efforts of all of us working together to produce why we have able to achieve these outstanding accolades. And we must not take them for granted, because this will not always be the case. It will not always be the case. Indeed, we only have to look backwards for about 5 years and see how we were in terms of economic growth in the country. We only have to look back for a mere few years to appreciate that we come from afar, where we had a fiscal situation that challenged us into going to the IMF. For the first time since the attainment of independence in 2010, the fiscal situation of the economy was so terrible that we needed to go to the IMF to seek immediate support. It means then that the strides we have made so far can't be taken for granted, and we should appreciate every day when we are moving forward positively. And that is why I take note and remember and am guided by the report which Jose himself made reference to, that 2016, according to the IMF, not just according to me, not just according to Mr. Grant, independent observers are saying that 2016 will continue to be positive. The positive things that are happening economically, socially, politically in the country, these need to be celebrated and appreciated so that the generations after us and even the generation now can find inspiration to help take St. Kitts and Nevis to that new plateau of economic growth and development.
The Prime Minister said that an expansion of private sector credit in St. Kitts and Nevis is aiding this economic growth and development. Lending to the commercial sector grew by 3.17% in St. Kitts and Nevis last year, but registered a 6.1% decline throughout the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, according to the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. This reflects a positive turnaround from 2010, when the World Bank Group, in its enterprise survey of St. Kitts and Nevis, found that access to finance was ranked by business owners and managers as the top business environmental obstacle for their companies.
That is a significant development. Indeed, over the last 17 months, we can say that the Development Bank has offered 598 business loans, including 205 under the Fresh Start program, for a total of some $40.7 million. And the National Bank would have reported in their last financial statement that they had increased lending by $121.2 million. So the future prospects for the country are good. The prospects are good. And the fiscal situation of this government is at its best ever. And therefore, when it is required, we will intervene to ensure that further stimulants are being granted to the economy.
Reporting from Bastyr, St. Kitts, I am Valencia Grant, the Press Secretary to the Prime Minister.